In the heart of the Midwest, nestled between the rolling hills and the endless cornfields, lay the quaint town of Willowbrook. It was a place where everyone knew each other, where the scent of freshly baked pies wafted through the air, and where the sun always seemed to shine a little brighter. But one day, Willowbrook vanished without a trace. It all began on a seemingly ordinary Tuesday. The townsfolk went about their daily routines, oblivious to the sinister forces that were about to engulf their lives. The morning sun rose over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the town's picturesque streets. The local bakery was bustling with activity, as Mrs. Thompson prepared her famous apple pies for the day's customers. But as the day wore on, a strange unease settled over the town. The streets grew eerily quiet, and the once bustling shops stood empty. The townsfolk, who had always been eager to share a friendly word or a smile, now seemed distant and preoccupied. Sarah, a young journalist from the nearby city, had come to Willowbrook to write a feature on the town's unique charm. As she wandered the deserted streets, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. She approached the town's sheriff, a gruff but kind-hearted man named Jim, who had been the law in Willowbrook for as long as anyone could remember. "Sheriff, have you noticed anything unusual today?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling slightly. Jim sighed, his weathered face etched with concern. "I've been trying to figure that out myself, miss. It's like the whole town just disappeared." As the day turned into night, the situation grew more dire. The town's power grid failed, plunging Willowbrook into darkness. The eerie silence was broken only by the distant howl of the wind and the occasional creak of an old wooden porch. Sarah and Jim decided to investigate the town's deserted homes, hoping to find some clue as to what had happened. They entered the first house, a cozy cottage that belonged to the town's beloved librarian, Mrs. Jenkins. The house was empty, save for a single, unfinished letter on the kitchen table. "Dear Sarah," the letter began, "if you're reading this, then I'm afraid we're all gone. We've been taken by a force beyond our understanding, and there's no way to stop it." Sarah's heart raced as she read the chilling words. She and Jim continued their search, finding similar letters in each of the abandoned homes. The townsfolk had all vanished, leaving behind only their possessions and their haunting goodbyes. As the night wore on, Sarah and Jim found themselves standing in the center of town, staring at the once thriving square that now lay empty and desolate. The moon cast an ethereal glow on the deserted streets, and the wind whispered through the empty buildings. Suddenly, a strange hum filled the air, and the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. A brilliant light appeared in the sky, bathing the town in an otherworldly glow. As Sarah and Jim watched in horror, the town of Willowbrook began to rise into the air, carried away by an unseen force. In the blink of an eye, the town was gone, leaving behind only a handful of terrified witnesses and a chilling mystery that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. As the sun rose the next morning, Sarah and Jim stood alone in the empty field where Willowbrook had once stood. They knew that they would never forget the town they had loved, nor the terrifying fate that had befallen its people. And as they walked away, hand in hand, they couldn't help but wonder if they, too, would one day be swallowed by the darkness that had claimed their beloved Willowbrook.